Hey everyone, King Z the Illusionist here, and today I wanted to talk to you about the future DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you're like me and completed the games, the ending left me with so many unanswered questions, like who's the third legendary Pokemon? What does all the symbols in Area Zero mean? And why is there a huge portion of the Paldea region map grayed out? Luckily for us, Game Freak's given us a couple of hints about what we can expect next for these games. If you were to head over to the main hall in the academy and look on the standing bookshelves to the right, you should spot a purple or orange book you can interact with. Upon reading the book, you are greeted with some lore about the Great Center of Paldea written by an explorer named Heath. I suggest you read this book because it talks about how Heath and his research team went about exploring Area Zero with all the strange encounters they faced. However, there are a couple of entries from this book I want to bring attention to that may be foreshadowing story events in the future DLC. The very first thing I want to talk about are the mysterious symbols that were found during Area Zero's exploration. In an entry titled The Adventure into Area Zero, we learn of a strange symbol found while the explorers were resting. According to the book, it says, the strange symbols inscribed in the ground here, were they left by the explorers in the time of the Paldean Empire, or could they be older still? Regardless, they seemed as if they must hold some meaning. What does this symbol mean? And is it possible we can potentially time travel back to the time during this Paldean Empire in the DLC? Maybe. If you're curious, you can even visit the symbol for yourself. It's located in the hidden cave where Roaring Moon or Iron Jugless is found. I tried to interact with these symbols myself by walking over them in specific orders, and I even invited 3 of my friends over to stand on these symbols at the same time, and nothing happened. My guess is that the third legendary may be locked behind a special event item like Arceus was. The second symbol can be read about in an entry named the Mysterious Plates. According to the book, it says, during the descent into Area Zero, we came across a buried metal plate inscribed with a strange symbol. We attempted to shave off a piece of the plate, but failed to leave even a scratch. Even determining the nature of the metal seems beyond modern science. We know not why the inscription was made, let alone how. I'm thinking maybe this entry could be hinting at the final legendary's type being part steel, and when we encounter it, it may have this symbol inscribed throughout its body, just like Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza did from the Hoenn region. The final symbol we can read about comes from an entry named A Phantom Memory. According to the book, it says, during our exploration of Area Zero's depths, I, Heath, strayed away from the team and was later found unconscious. When awoken, I can only recall speaking with someone in an unfamiliar place, as if in a dream. I was found holding the page shown here. The handwriting is my own, but I have no memory of writing this. The big question to this is, who is this mysterious man that he speaks about? Could it have been the third legendary speaking to him in a humanoid form? Maybe this could be a hint towards the ability that the third legendary has, being able to transform into any creature. There is also a final symbol that wasn't mentioned in any of the book entries, but is found in the logos for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The symbol looks like this, and the only thing that comes to my mind it hinting at could potentially being a new form for the legendary Pokemon. I would like to hear your theories on what you think these symbols actually mean and the significance it may play in the DLC. Now, I want to talk about some brand new legendary Pokemon that we may encounter in the DLC. In an entry named An Imagined Sketch, we are shown a sketch of a combined Suicune, Raikou, and Entei, if you're playing Pokemon Scarlet, and an imagined sketch of a combined Virizion, Cobalion, and Terrakion if you're playing Pokemon Violet. According to the book, it says, a drawing of a fantastical Pokemon as envisioned by our sketch artist. The size and ferocity of the strange Pokemon that dwell in Area Zero's lower reaches tickled the artist's imagination, prompting the sketch of what other species that inhabit these depths may look like. These 2 imagined Pokemon can either be brand new Paradox forms like we've seen with Great Tusks and Iron Treads, or 2 brand new legendary Pokemon as a whole. The second legendary Pokemon hints span over a couple of entries, so I'll read all of them together, with the first being mentioned in an entry named The Great Crater of Paldea. Towards the bottom of the text, Heath says, but clouds obscured the crater's distant depths, where the treasure of legend is said to lie. This then continues in the next entry named The Adventure into Area Zero, where Heath says, I suspect something altogether unknown to humankind sleeps in its depths. In the entry named Area Zero's Cartograph, Heath says, legends tell that precious stones or wondrous fruits have long slept in Area Zero's depths, protected by some manner of guardian. In the entry named The Legendary Treasure, Heath says, countless days into our descent, we reached at least the very depths of the Great Crater. There, we found a cave with formations of gemstones shining blindingly bright as far as we could see. Perhaps that strange light itself is the guardian said to watch over the treasure deep within the crater. And finally, our biggest description of the Guardian is the final entry that has some of its text missing, so I tried my hardest to fill in these missing letters. The final entry is called a Disc Pokemon, and it says, while separated from the research team in the crater's depths, I found a strange entity. Whether it's a Pokemon or even alive at all, I know not. It bore a shell with layers of overlapping hexagons, gleamed brighter than gemstones. Viewed as a whole, it resembles a mysterious, brilliant disc. And if my filled-in words are correct, I believe the third legendary is some form of disc-shaped Pokemon that may be based on Discworld, and when compared to the picture in the book against the picture of the disc Pokemon, the resemblance between them show pretty well. Now, onto the location of the upcoming DLC and how it may hint at the potential of Mega Evolution returning. We already know the area where the DLC could be located thanks to the grayed out, inaccessible part of the Paldea region map. I hear some people throw around the idea of this inaccessible area being added later on in an upcoming patch for Scarlet and Violet, and while that can happen, I doubt seriously that Game Freak will actually add new content to the game without a Pokemon Presents or Direct. Another popular theory that a lot of people mention is that we'll may be able to revisit the Kalos region, since it's in France and France is literally connected to Spain. However, I don't think this will happen either, since the size of this outlined region isn't big enough to fit the Kalos region in it. The only other place I believe the DLC can take place at is called Andorra. And if you were to look at the map of the Paldea region with an overlay of a real-world map, you could see Andorra lining up perfectly within this area. I believe the DLC will most likely take place there, and it will most likely tie in with the symbols scattered throughout Area 0. If Game Freak releases 2 DLC areas just like they did with Sword and Shield, I suspect there to be a new area we haven't seen yet on the maps that's most likely hidden behind the scattered clouds. Now, let's talk about the potential of Mega Evolution returning. And one of the entries I mentioned earlier, it said that the Guardian of Area 0 watches over precious stones, and with the Paldea region being super close to the Kalos region, this can be a potential hint of Mega Evolution returning. Mega Evolution was even hinted at in Roaring Moon's Pokédex entry for Pokemon Violet, stating that according to an article in a dubious magazine, this Pokemon has some connection to a phenomenon that occurs in a certain region. We already know what that certain region is, it's the Kalos region, so maybe we will have Megas returning, but that's just my interpretation of the hints that Game Freak left for us in the game. Of course, I could be 100% wrong and I could just be reaching for anything, you never know. I would love to hear your theories though, and ideas about the upcoming DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe for more Pokemon content, and until then, I will talk to you all next time. Goodbye.